the Toronto Book Expo, here by proxy over Skype with Dr. Michael Lee, the physician-turned-poet from Garden City, New York. Mike, it's great to have you here today with us, even though it's St. Patrick's Day and we're in the midst of the worldwide pandemic of COVID-19. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sam. Appreciate it.
No problem. So can you tell us a little bit about your poetry?
Well, I was inspired by the works of Shel Silverstein. He's a very famous poet. Unfortunately, he died in 1999, but he's a very famous American poet. And he wrote many books geared towards children, but a lot of adults know and love his work as well. His poetry is very funny and humorous, so that's the style of poetry that I like, and I of course read it with my family.
So do you have a particular volume of poetry or multiple books? Can you tell us about your titles or title?
My first book, my debut book, is called Not Gonna Write Poems. It was published, self-published in a year ago, 2019. And it's a collaboration because my daughter and she's 11 years old, and she helped me co-illustrate the book.
Wow. So either she's an excellent illustrator or you've got some developmental work to do on your illustrating.
Yes. I think she's pretty talented. So lucky for me. So yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about it's not gonna write poetry, is it called?
Not Gonna Write Poems.
Not Gonna Write Poems. Can you show us the book? Do you have it there with you? Can you bring it up to the screen?
Sure. I'll show that to you. It's right here.
There we go. Not Gonna Write Poems. And that's you.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I can tell by the hair.
Exactly. Yes. It's kind of a lot of these poems are kind of autobiographical, so to speak.
Okay. So, and so what is their subject matter? Autobiographical, you're a physician, anything else?
Well, a lot of things that I've kind of experienced in my life. Of course, some of the poems are about medical things like allergies and getting the flu. And of course, there's poems about like things like ketchup sandwiches, which I used to eat when I was a child.
I did too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people can relate to that, some strange things that you've eaten in your lifetime. And of course, about bad teachers and being a brat and boogie monsters and slime. So it's geared towards kids, like I said, but anybody can relate to that, especially if you have kids.
So just to promo here, Mike, how would one obtain a copy of your book?
Well, there's a couple of ways. One is through Agora Publishing. They helped me bring my book to Canadian audience. So that's through my website, mikeleepoet.ca for Canada. So they can buy it on that website. In America, in the USA, you can buy it on my website, mikeleepoet.com. So
okay.
There's two ways.
What does it retail for?
Well, in the US, there's two copies. There's, of course, the like kind of Kindle version, the ebook, which is $1.99 in US dollars. For the softcover version, I think it's $12.97, and the hard copy version is like $27 and change. So okay. In Canada, obviously, it's Canadian currency, so it's a little bit different.
You'd not say more. All right. When did you start writing poetry, and what inspired you to start?
Well, I started writing kind of a little bit in high school, but I didn't really take it seriously until about 2017, where I really started writing consistently. I was inspired, like I said, by the poetry of Shel Silverstein. Myself and my wife, we read often his poetry and his books to my daughter before she goes to bed, because it's a good way to end the night, and we really want to encourage her to read and enjoy reading. And what better way to do that than to read funny poetry? So it gives us all a good laugh. We can see the funny pictures, and rather than watching TV and spending all of the time on the internet, we figured it's a great way to introduce her to books and poetry, and so we all really love reading at night.
Okay, and so you felt your creative energy needed an outlet?
Exactly. I've always liked writing poetry, and then I said, well, since obviously Shel Silverstein died in 1999, we originally wanted to bring our daughter to meet him, and then I looked him up, and I said, oh well, I guess I can't meet him. So next best thing is I'm going to try to entertain my family by writing some funny poetry. So I started writing, in my spare time, because I am a full-time physician as well. So in my spare time, I would write at night when I get home on the train. So I would write whatever topic struck my fancy, about teachers, about slime, about anything that I can think of. Sometimes people would give me topics like co-workers. I'd say, what do you want me to write a poem about? They would just give me a topic, and I would, sometimes it'd take me half an hour, sometimes an hour, sometimes a day. But that's how I kind of formulated my ideas, and 78 poems are in the book. And then I started drawing the accompanying sketches for that, and I enlisted my daughter to help me draw some of those sketches for the poems.
Right. Now, you're an internist. You're trained as an internist in the U.S., and that's basically medicine from here to here, pretty well everything, right?
Right.
But you do urgent care. And can you tell us if there are any advantages or boons to being a physician and then having a creative outlet? So, for instance, you do shift work. You also see some pretty traumatic things, even though it's urgent care and not emerge. Nevertheless, do you do your shift work and then after a long shift come home and start writing? Does sometimes you feel the need to express yourself in poetry because of something that you had to deal with on the job? Please give us some insight.
Well, certainly it's a creative outlet. It's something I enjoy doing, so that helps. And it's, obviously you're very intense when you're working. You're seeing these complicated cases, sometimes sick patients, angry patients, and they're not always happy to see you because they're sick themselves. So what better way to kind of lighten the mood, so to speak, than to get them to laugh, or to occasionally, if a patient wants, I'll even recite a poem to them. And that kind of breaks the ice and makes it a little bit less stressful for them. So that was my idea, to kind of lighten everybody's mood, because a lot of poetry these days is kind of melancholy and talks about loss and lost loves and suffering, and that's not kind of my style of poetry. That's not what I wanted to bring to the audience that I'm seeking. So I wanted to make it light-hearted and humorous, and something fun that especially kids can enjoy, because as you know, depression and anxiety is very prevalent, and it's increasing in the past decade or so.
Rampant.
Yes, it's especially in the youth, like the
Yes.
12 to 25 age group. It's increasing. It's increased by 20-30% in the last 15 years. So that's not a good sign. And I think part of it is dealing with social isolation and cyberbullying.
Mm-hmm.
More people are paying attention to, they're on their phones, they're texting, they're on the internet, not interacting with people.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways that I think my book can help is helping families kind of reconnect, getting together, reading a book, sharing a few laughs, talking about the poems, as opposed to just okay, get on your iPad and watch a movie.
Exactly. It's kind of a natural dopamine surge, reading your book and doing it as a family, doing it together.
Exactly. Because we all have a lot of things to deal with between the coronavirus and the flu and, backaches and UTIs and all those things.
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
get sick and, they don't feel good. So
No.
when they come see me, it's a great way to kind of lighten the mood.
No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, Mike. Now, speaking of youth, is your daughter close by? Can we get an opinion from her of your poetry? I'm from Ottawa. Nice to meet you. Hi. So I hear that you helped your dad with illustrating his book.
Yes,
What
I did.
what was that? What was that like?
Well, it was very fun because my dad and I got some time to share because usually he's always working. So he explained to me what he wanted for me to draw, so then I drew it, and he explained to me the ways that maybe I could improve my drawing, and yeah.
Did you explain to him the ways that he could improve his poetry?
Yeah, I told him that maybe he should shorten the poems a bit.
Oh, okay, okay. Now, I have a question for you. Is that him on the cover of the book?
Yeah, that's a drawing of him trying to come up with some poems.
Okay. So, when your father first came up with the idea to write poetry, what did you think?
Um, I'm not really a fan of this, and I do not want my dad writing books.
And you're 11 years old, right?
Yeah.
And what do you want to be when you're older?
A plastic surgeon, a scientist, or a vet.
Okay, good. You've narrowed it down somewhat, but you can always change your mind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us what Daddy goes through to write a poem. Do you ever see the creative process with him?
Well, I don't see all of it, but I see most of it. He usually goes on websites to help him like with rhyming words, and he usually is just writing it down on a piece of paper or on the computer.
Wow. Okay. Now, Jessica, do you have a favorite poem from the book?
I don't have a favorite in the book. I like all the poems.
Is there a short one that you can read to us and share with us today?
Yeah, Daddy, the book.
Excellent. Okay. So you pick something to read to us so our viewers get an idea of your
Okay.
dad's talent. Yeah.
This poem is called If I Had Invented. If I had invented the pooper scooper, a mansion and 10 cars I would own. If I had invented the iPhone, I'd have 2 cooks and 6 maids to maintain my home. But I haven't invented a single thing, so I guess I'm just stuck eating for sup an instant noodle cup.
That's that's actually pretty funny. That was really good. Thank you, Jessica. That's really good. Is there another one there you want to read for us?
Yeah, one more.
Sure. Your daddy doesn't want to give away all his poems, right?
Yeah. Homework. Homework, homework, what a bore. Homework, homework, when it's too long, I just want to snore. Homework, homework, I hate it so much, I'd rather get a cold sore. Homework, homework, my parents said it's good for me. Homework, homework, there's not much point to it from what I can see. Homework, homework, I just wish I could have the answer key. Homework, homework, I really can't stand it anymore. Homework, homework, I want to throw my textbooks out the back door. Homework, homework, I'd much rather see a movie or go to the candy store. Homework, homework, my parents say it's a must. Homework, homework, don't really get why they all make such a fuss. Homework, homework, if I refuse and say just no more, then my folks say my future will be working at Mall's shoe store.
Thank you, Jessica. That was awesome. Thank you so much for participating in our interview, and I wish you all the best and stay safe during the pandemic, okay?
Okay, thank
Good.
you. You too.
Thank you so much. You recommend the book to children and young adults and anyone in particular?
I think so because it can fit all ages because it has different poems for all types of people.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that endorsement.
Are you a writer? Are you seeking to self-publish high-quality and mass-marketable books? Would you like to avoid the typical low-quality self-published book that generally sells less than 50 copies? Here are top 10 ways Agora will make your book look like a potential bestseller. AgoraPublishing.com services include: number 1, ISBN registration. 2, cataloging in publication or CIP registration. Number 3, books in print basic for Canada and the US. Number 4, books in print international to get your book sold with online booksellers internationally. Number 5, copy editing for basic grammar and typos. Number 6, substantive editing for style revamping and other consulting. Number 7, typesetting, layout, and graphic design essential for that professional look. Number 8, book cover design. Number 9, book website and author blog design along with search engine optimization, often just called SEO, and also search engine marketing, otherwise known as SEM. 10, AgoraPublishing.com even provides book distribution, agency services, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Go to AgoraPublishing.com today and find out how they can make you a great selling author. That's AgoraPublishing.com. AgoraPublishing.com.